Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3Y TV tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Playoffs. Chase, rather, that comes to the North Wilkesboro Speedway for 200 laps around this place. Technically, it's 180 laps, 200 miles. I am Peter Short. Joining me alongside is Drew Eisenman. And Drew, 180 laps around this joint will not be easy. Of course, North Wilkesboro, which might be a little bit of a Phoenix racetrack. Not Phoenix as being in Phoenix, Arizona, but being resurrected from the dead here, not only in iRacing, but hopefully in real life. But it will play host to tonight's race here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Chase.
Yeah, it's kind of some cool news that potentially this thing could be, this track could be coming back to the real-life NASCAR circuit. Hopefully, Rockingham follows suit. Those are kind of two of, I did not ever really see a race at North Wilkesboro, kind of went away before my time, but Rockingham I certainly saw more than a few races not in person, but watched races. And so, yeah, really cool news that this thing might be coming back to life and potentially seeing some stock cars on it once again. But tonight here, Peter, a big challenge for especially these chase drivers. Not too big of a field, but I think this is one of those short tracks that can be a real Jekyll and Hyde type of race that can kind of play out here. Sometimes these races go by 1, 2, maybe that many cautions, and a lot of green flag laps. Tire wear, super important. Taking care of your stuff, super important. But on the other hand, you can have races where you have 10, 12 plus cautions that all that stuff doesn't matter. It's just kind of 1-2 lap pace because that's all the laps under green that you get in a run. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think we saw in the Beer Street Journal Series a little more cautions than I think people were expecting, but given the smaller truck count here tonight, Peter, I think that lends itself to being potentially more green flag laps than not.
Yeah, we're just about sitting at 20 trucks right now on the entry list for tonight's 180-lap event. Of course, this is a chase race here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, and let's bring up the point standings entering into tonight. There you see it. John Cannizzaro Jr. is your points leader by 6 points over Jason Gracias. If you were not here for the last race at Homestead, Miami, Chris Darling was the driver who got to go to victory lane. He's third place in points, 10 markers off the top. And look at that. The top three drivers, Drew, all with 3 wins apiece. And Nathan Maurer, of course, can't count him out. He was the regular season points champion, and although he didn't even win a race in his 971 truck. So the top 4 drivers all looking pretty good, all with a shot for the final 3 races. Of course, after tonight, we only have 2 races left. Auto Club next week and Atlanta the week after that. So we are wrapping up, but really, at least at this point, Drew, looking like a 4-horse race because Justin White, Ben Mashburn, Matt Cherry, all those drivers about 50-plus points back. But with the point standings, or the point system that's used here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, it's not insurmountable. You can make up that amount in a single race, but you have to have a lot of things go your way.
Yeah, I think based on what we've seen in the chase, I think those top 3 are probably my favorites, but certainly Nathan Maurer, with only 3 races left, if things go his way at North Wilkesboro, then he just has really 2 left to make things happen, and he's certainly not out of it as well. I would be kind of surprised if anyone fifth on back was really able to actually get up there and compete. But Peter, especially at this point in the chase, it takes one mistake to really completely change the dynamic of this championship. If Jason Gracias or Cannizzaro or Chris Darling or Nathan Maurer have one bad night from here on out, I think it's going to be a really, really, really tough ask for those guys to be able to recover. And one thing they need to do, especially at North Wilkesboro, is get a good, solid starting position, and that starts right here in qualifying.
That it does. Let's see if we can bring up Doug Neal here in the number 77 machine, who is the first truck out on track here in the craigsetupshop.co.uk pole shootout. In fact, let's go on board with the Simbox Chevrolet, as Doug Neal has been known in the past to lay down some stellar qualifying laps. This racetrack, turn number 1 right here, a lot of bumps here tonight, Drew. This is an old racing surface. They haven't raced on this surface in real life now in 25 plus years. And Doug Neal is experiencing all those bumps, trying to get the power down as he races downhill towards turn number 1. And that's right. Yeah, you race downhill, Drew, towards turn number 1. and then uphill towards turn number 3. Fastest driver in the practice session that we had a little while ago, which is the number 12 of John Canizaro Jr., who's currently second on the board. And how about the number 11, Chris Darling, last week's race winner at the Homestead Miami Speedway, Drew? Fastest so far in the craigsetupshop.co.uk pole shootout, but he gets a little bit slideways out of turn number 4 on his second lap. Won't pick it up, but that is still enough to have Chris Darling top of the board as we stand right now. Can he pick up the craigsetupshop.co.uk pole shootout? That would be fairly big, Drew, for a driver who has had a couple of wins but might be finding his stride here late in the season.
Yeah, especially I think when you tend to have not great short-run pace, but better long-run pace like that 11 has had. Starting up front really can kind of soften the impact of that kind of trend, as now we are riding on board with, can't quite make out who we're riding on board with. I was going to say, we got the 17 kind of losing it. We've had multiple kind of half spins in qualifying here, Peter. I know Matt Cherry on his second lap had a half spin, as did Tristan Maher, as now we're looking at that number 9 machine of Joshua Corner. And he is on his first lap now, taking the white flag, I believe. Yeah, the number 9 machine brings it about P12 right there on his first lap. Now, Jason Gracias, who has had a ton of momentum, had the fastest truck last week, not able to close the deal. Of course, our Beer Street Journal Grand National Series champion here in NSRA, but the number 1, I know he didn't love the result that he got last week, but he can start to turn that around. Turn around a second place finish, but turn around kind of not finishing where you run all night by getting a good qualifying effort as purple first sector. We'll see exactly where this second sector comes in out of turn 4. It's going to be fastest for Jason Gracias. Provisional pole with 2 minutes left, and I think he's calling off his second lap.
Actually, that was his second lap, Drew. That was extremely clutch from the number 1 because he hit the wall on his first time lap. iRacing disqualified his first lap, and I think he's the only driver to have been able to pick it up on his second lap. And of course, you will pick it up on your second lap if your first lap is disqualified. But that was extremely clutch from one of our chase contenders, primary chase contenders. And Drew, we mentioned Gracias, Darling, Canizaro Jr., and Nathan Maurer. Guess who our top 4 qualifiers right now are? Our top 4 in points. That could be huge here tonight. Obviously, they're getting a lot of practice in between races.
Yeah, you can have, some guys are above and beyond and don't require any practice, but I think that putting in time in preparing for these races is so invaluable for when you actually get on track. I know in the Beer Street Journal Series early in the season, when I had a little bit more time, I was way more competitive when I just had time to kind of pound laps at places like Texas and Sonoma and places like that, and I felt really comfortable going into the race, versus when you don't have time to do that, or you just haven't put the time in to prepare for it. You kind of feel like you're trying to figure stuff out in practice rather than kind of perfect your craft. And I think that that's what we're seeing out of those top 4. Top 5, as a matter of fact, our top 5 are chase drivers. Our top 4 in points are our top 4, as we've seen, as now Nick Kessler actually jumps up into 5th, bucking the trend. Big wiggle out of the 88 out of turn 2 there, Peter. But absolutely, I think, especially for those drivers right now contending for the championship, you got to put the practice time in out of the actual hosted session. The 88 smacks the outside wall, and he managed to get off track pretty quickly.
Yeah, that he did, and again, not sure exactly what is up. We're trying to make some changes to our good old graphics this week, but looks like still some bugs to work out. Let's bring up tonight's starting lineup. Jason Gracias in that number 1 machine, Drew. Of course, always it is important to bring up the Craig Setup Shop Co.uk pole position award. It will go to Jason Gracias here tonight. Like you said, fastest truck last week at Homestead Miami. Big mistake coming off pit road, put him at a disadvantage. What can he do here tonight? But big shout out to our friends over at Craig Setup Shop. One of the best spots 4 setups in all of iRacing, and of course with the Daytona 24 happening tomorrow, if you don't have a good enough setup for the Daytona 24 tomorrow and you're participating in it, go check out craigsetupshop.co.uk, link in the description. Let's get that starting lineup for you. A little bit smaller field here for the North Wilkesboro 200 here. Jason Gracias, Chris Darling make up row number 1. Those 2 drivers coming into tonight, 2nd and 3rd in points respectively. John NSRA Jr., your points leader, will be rolling off for the inside of row number 2. 4th place in points, Nathan Maurer rolls off 4th. Nick Kessler, Ben Mashburn on row number 3. Doug Neal, Jeffrey Johnson Jr., good run in qualifying for the number 33 here tonight. Randy Perdue and Joshua Corner rounding out our top 10. Drew.
And Travis White starting in 11th. To his outside will be that 17 machine of Tristan Maher. Then it's Adam Leichty in that number 51 machine in 13th, with Matt Cherry, a chase driver, to his outside in 14th position. Then it's Doug Milner and Adam Dama in 15th and 16th. Scott Tompkins is our race official. Jeff Price will be starting in 18th position. Then Vinny Valvano, Garrett Austin, and Jason Shue round out our field.
So we'll get things rolling here. The pace car will start moving off here in just a moment. As I say that, Chris Darling already getting a little bit excited, getting set to go green. 180 laps here tonight, Drew. What do you think your keys to the race here tonight? Usually, we talk about the weather, but it seems like the track temperature sitting at 128 degrees might be a little bit toasty, might mean these drivers will struggle for grip, but at the same time, you're going to have to watch, I think, for a loose race truck tonight. Any other keys to the race?
I think it's tire management and just trying to guess the correct tire strategy. These guys only have 3 changes of tires, and 5-10 laps on a set of tires will make a massive, massive difference regarding pace. That can win and lose you the race. We've seen multiple times in other races in NSRA, guys figuring out the proper strategy, determine the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series champion. To me here, Peter, especially having participated in the Beer Street Journal Series race, the tire strategy was so key, and I think that is kind of one of those keys to the race that we are going to have to keep our eyes on.
That is for sure. Pace car coming around turn number 3 and 4 for what appears to be the final time here. We will see the green flag, 180 laps. We'll figure out who will get another win in the coffer here tonight. Big wheel spin out of the number 1 of Jason Gracias as they head towards turn number 1. We're racing here, but man, that looked a little bit sketchy up there at the front, and Chris Darling already out to an early lead right where he left off last week at Homestead, Miami, as here comes Nathan Maurer in the 971 looking to the outside.
Yeah, I was wondering, we got our first caution. We got a spinner in turn 4, I believe, Peter. Just a car. I don't think it was too bad of a wreck. It's orange or red. Yep, it's going to be a little bit further back than this, I believe. It's involving Adam Dama in that 28. Yeah, the 9 and the 28 were involved. Yep, the 9 just gets loose, and I think it's out of the throttle, and there's nowhere for that 17 to go. Adam Dama just gets that thing stopped. So, yeah, no real major issues, I don't think, for either of or any of the 3 trucks involved. The 9's probably got some left rear damage as right there. I don't even... Does he make contact with the wall? I can't quite tell. He has some left rear damage nonetheless, whether that's from the boot or not. But when you get loose like that, you get out of the throttle, and the truck that's right behind you on your tailgate gets back into the throttle as normal. That's basically what's going to happen right there. And the 28 got into the outside wall, but I don't think the 28 is going to be any worse for wear. I don't think the 9 will be either, Peter. That's a kind of a North Wilkesboro thing, though, for sure, is getting a little loose in on entry, because as you mentioned, your marks aren't the same for both ends of the track. I know Bristol's not quite symmetrical. Martinsville more or less is, but North Wilkesboro, the actual overview, if you look top down on the track, it looks absolutely identical, but those elevation changes really change the speed on entry, whether you're going uphill or downhill. Now, I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think you're going uphill into turn 3, downhill into turn 1, so you have to kind of back up your corner entry when you're going downhill, versus you can drive a little bit deeper when you're going in uphill because you have a little bit of gravity assist in deceleration.
Yeah, you can see it right there, Drew. This is the run up towards turn number 3, and you can see that you're going up the hill. Similarly, you can just kind of see a little bit of a downhill effect right there down in towards turn number 1. So you kind of go up into 3 and down into 1. And like you said, just that little bit of extra inertia that you carry with gravity helping you up into 3 and really working against you down into 1. It just changes the way the trucks drive, just a little bit, not a whole lot, but it doesn't take a whole lot when you're racing these things on the edge to catch you out. As we're inside the first caution of the night, waiting to see the iRacing pace car lights turn off, and there they are. All drivers currently out there on the racetrack are on the lead lap. 20 starters here tonight. No driver elected to do the Becoming Dr. Mashburn challenge because, well, it's a little bit difficult to pass here. And now, Drew, I wonder if Jason Gracias has kind of learned his lesson, having that wheel spit early on. And now look at Ben Mashburn there. He's on the outside there in the Chester's Chicken Machine behind Chris Darling, and I'm just wondering if maybe Ben Mashburn can pounce as we're back green. No wheel spin this time. Gracias obviously learned his lesson, and he is going to try and battle for the lead, but not before Ben Mashburn gets side by side for second. Good start here for Mashburn. Started in the 6th spot and showing that outside line is fast and might walk away with the 2nd spot. Does indeed. Now cuts down in front of Jason Gracias as they head towards turn number 1 right there. We are working lap number 8 here tonight. Want to give a big shout out to those in the chat. Of course, we did have Stay Tuned Sports in the chat a little while ago. JT Poole as well. Johnny Williams saying, I can't wait till we get our fiber internet where we live. 35 where I'm at. I'm guessing that's 35 down. But I want to say that hopefully that does happen. I know what it's like to race on slow internet. Jeff Price saying, racing with a bad hand tonight. Wish me luck. Gonna run as many laps as I can. Best of luck here, Jeff. But one thing I was gonna mention here, Drew, is it's so difficult to pass here, but this is a racetrack where you can save tires, and saving tires can be very much key to the longevity of the handling characteristics of your truck here tonight.
Yeah, I totally agree. To me, where I've noticed that I can make it work, not saying that this is what everybody does, to save tires is be really easy on entry. I think if when you really kind of overdrive this thing, you scrape that right front by overdriving the entry, and then of course you're too fast through the middle and you're scrubbing that right front as well. That's what can absolutely kill your tires. Backing up that entry really helps you save your stuff, but also does make you slower on the short run, as we're looking at a battle for 11th position between Adam Dama, who was involved in that wreck, kind of, I guess, not technically, but did kind of bang the wall trying to not be too caught up in it, as well as that 9 machine just behind the truck that we're looking at right there. Doug Milner, of course, was the truck that brought out our caution, but Doug Milner running in 14th position right now. And, we got a truck stopped on the apron there, Peter, and that's going to be our 2nd caution.
Now, let's see if we can figure out who that was. Ben Mashburn and Jason Gracias was starting to get a little bit spicy there as well. Keeping our eyes on the number 28 of Adam Dama, who was just ahead of the truck we were focusing on, Doug Milner, who looks, quite honestly, like a cartoon character, as Adam Dama got loose out of turn number 2 there, lit up the rear tires, drew inside into the inside wall, and it looks like the number 28, unfortunately, will be kind of leaving the racetrack, it seems, after that. Let's go on board with it. And this is one thing to note. A lot of people at home, watch how quick this race truck all of a sudden gets out from underneath Adam Dama. Everything looks good, and all of a sudden, just like that, you're in the inside wall. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a second. 1 second, and your race is over here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. They're not easy to drive, that is for sure. Folks in the chat, how are you doing here tonight? JT Poole saying he will pass. It's been really chilly here in Texas as well. JT saying it's 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, degrees. Gotcha. Johnny, 35 degrees. It's below freezing where I am right now. Here in Texas, it's, I think right now probably about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and yesterday was extremely windy. Luckily, the wind died down here today, Drew. I think Austin might have even had some wintry weather yesterday. We didn't get any of that where I am, but they're pretty crazy right now, this cold snap we're in. Hopefully, it warms up soon.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday, when I was driving about, I had some sleet falling on my car, and then this morning I had to go to the old passport office at about 7 in the morning when it was approximately 29 degrees in Austin, which is definitely. I mean, it's not crazy, but that's about as cold as it typically gets here. I know, yeah, we're also below freezing at this point in Austin as well. So, a cold snap, but it looks like we got some at least for me, because I'm a weirdo and I like 50-degree weather. Some great weather coming up for this next week. So excited for that as the good old semester gets into to full swing here for me, as we are kind of getting close to hopefully getting into the full swing of this race. As I noticed one thing, Peter, that number 1 machine of Jason Gracias just can't seem to get off the bottom on these restarts, and it feels like I think that one is going to be mega quick once these things get up to speed, but just getting trapped on that bottom has not been a good deal for the trucks that are on the bottom on this restart. They just can't get those things wound up.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll see whether or not he can get things up to speed and going in a hurry here. When we go back, green flag, a little bit of wheel spin, this time from Ben Mashburn's number 4. Will that allow Doug Neal to get a run to the outside of Jason Gracias? Gracias continuing to lose positions on these restarts. Same thing happening with John Cannizzaro Jr. And if you were to look right now as they run with the race as they are right now, Chris Darling would be a little bit of contact there between Gracias and Doug Neal, but I was going to mention right now as they run, Chris Darling is your points leader, but there's still plenty of laps here to go, only working lap number 20 of 180. Johnny Williams saying it feels like 28. Well, I have you beat. It feels like 27 outside where I am right now, just hovering at 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But right now, Jason Gracias trying to use that inside line that hasn't been all too kind to him so far to clear Doug Neal, just not quite able to complete that pass again. Drew, this could be a while before we see one of these two come out on top.
Yeah, it's so hard to just carry momentum on the bottom, and it's certainly, this is the only time that you can do it. We got a truck slow there on the apron. Can't quite make out who that is quite yet. No caution though. We are still under green, as that is, I think it's the 34? The 34 of Garrett Austin? Yeah, it is a 34 of Garrett Austin. A little sideways. No harm, no foul. Gets into the grass, though, and we stay under green, although Garrett Austin lost a ton of track position, as Jason Gracias now has been able to get by that 77. And, Peter, I think that as this run goes on, that bottom's going to be more and more difficult to make work. I think it's honestly going to probably be easier to run high on these guys and make that pass work, because you just get that thing so bound up, whatever the correct tense of that verb is. When you're underneath somebody, you just have to put so much wheel in on exit that you just can't get to the throttle, and even when you do, you just struggle to make it work, as though Ben Mashburn may be a little wide on entry, but I think the 4 machine's going to be able to carry some good momentum off the Ford. He absolutely is. And now we're going to see, as these tires start to wear, can that one of Jason Gracias continue to make that bottom work? That was a pretty solid 1 and 2. Exit and 2, not too bad as well. I think that 1's in pretty good condition to potentially make 3 and 4 work for him, although I think the bottom of 3 and 4 is a little bit harder than the bottom of 1 and 2, because you don't have that banking to kind of lean on, that extra banking almost, because you're going uphill on the exit of turn 2. So we'll see if this 1 can clear this number 4 machine. But Peter, you know who's loving this scene right here is that 11, who's just starting to drive off into the distance.
Yeah, that is for sure. Chris Darling starting to scoot away just a little bit, but looks like the 4 of Mashburn, he's trying to hold on, not able to do so. So Gracias moves up to second. And kind of my rebuttal, Drew, to your statement that the high line you think is going to continue to work better and better. The only rebuttal to that is usually you carry a little bit more speed. As we're hearing someone is off the track. Randy Purdue has gone into the pits, and Jason Shu is off the pace in his number 3 machine. We'll see if we can see what happened. Here's Jason Shu. But that high line, you carry a little bit more speed, so sometimes you use up the right front just a little bit more, as you see what happened to Jason Shu right here. And if you use up that right front, it's no longer very good because you can't turn the truck anymore. So I've also seen times where using that bottom groove and using the brake, using the brake bias to help get that truck turned can be very beneficial to save tires versus running that higher groove. So I've seen on the short run that high line be very good here, but as the run goes on, I've also seen a lot of speed out of that inside groove. So I think it really depends, though, on what you commit yourself to and your mindset when you set out on the racetrack. Minding your tires, listening to what your tires are doing. Sound is a very important thing for a sim racer because we don't get all of the senses that you would if you were in the real car. So sound ends up being something very, very important. And sometimes that inside line, you hear the tires scrub less because you're a little bit slower when you go through the corners, and it ends up helping save tires. So we'll see if that is the case here as Jason Gracias is battling with Chris Darling for the race lead. And now we're starting to see John Cannizzaro Jr. also start to make inroads on Ben Mashburn. He is your points leader. So again, the top 4 drivers entering into tonight, all inside the top 5, and in fact, Ben Mashburn, I think he came into tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Drew. Oh man, I thought that was going to be contact there, but I believe Ben Mashburn sits in the 5th position in points entering into tonight. If he's not 5th, he's 6th. He's 6th, excuse me. Justin White is sitting in 5th. But very impressive to see kind of the cream again rise to the top here as we are working lap number 36 and a great side-by-side battle for the lead.
Yeah, fantastic battle. As Jason Gracias not giving up, but that number 11 machine definitely making that high lane work. And, you talk about Peter, I think perfectly validly that about the speed and scrubbing the right front. But I think when you're racing side by side like that, I would rather have the banking to lean into because I think you are going to scrub that a little bit less because you're not going to have so much wheel in that truck, especially on exit, where I think you can tend to kind of cheese grate that right front by just having a little too much wheel into it, like Jason Gracias is doing. Although the one has always been good on short and long runs, so I'm not going to doubt what he's doing. But however, 3rd caution, lap 38.
Yep, caution flag is out. We'll see what happened here, hearing that it might have involved the number 9 machine, Joshua Corner, who was involved in an earlier accident as well. Let's see what happened to the Bass Pro Shops Chevy Silverado coming down into turn number 3 here. Back end just kicked out. Not much he could do. Got it stopped down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, and kind of no harm, no foul, but caution flag number 2 here tonight. And now we'll see whether or not our leaders come down pit road. Indeed, they do. This is going to be important, Drew, because it looks like iRacing has given the race lead to Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine. So he will come to his pit box first. And remember, he was our pole sitter here tonight, courtesy of our friends over at craigsubshop.co.uk. And Nathan Maurer there, kind of at the back of the picture, might have missed his pit box there briefly. Nick Kessler in the number 88 cycling on through pit lane. Don't know if he actually ever came to a halt. I think he missed his pit box, but Gracias is going to win the race off pit road, then followed by Chris Darling, John Cannizzaro Jr., and then Doug Neal in the number 77, going to be the next truck off pit road. But I believe Kessler missed his pit stall. We'll see whether or not that is true. or not as he forms up behind the iRacing pace car.
Yeah, I think if I'm the 88, I mean, quite frankly, if I'm a truck that I don't, if I was a truck out there that didn't think that they had race-winning pace, I would probably do something different like the 88's doing. Maybe you get a caution in 20, 30, 40 laps. Honestly, the longer it goes without getting lapped, the better off you are if you come down and then you can take tires and then you have a tire advantage over the rest of those guys, which can, I mean, I know that when I was here at North Wilkesboro, I almost played the strategy game just right. Things didn't quite work out on the last lap like I wanted them to, but I didn't have race winning pace, and kind of nailing the tire strategy gave me an opportunity that otherwise I wouldn't have had to try to grab a checkered flag here at North Wilkesboro. And so I think that if you're another one of those guys out there, why not try something? You're not competing for the championship. You don't have race-winning pace. If you're the 88, why not stay out right now? I mean, you might not finish. If you thought you were sixth-place truck, you might finish in 11th. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think there's a massive difference in those finishing positions considering the atrophy that our field's kind of having thus far. So I like well, I say that. Look at this, Peter. Look, of course, prove the commentator wrong. 88 now coming down on pit road. I guess he technically has 2 fresher tires than the rest of the field, though.
Yeah, and possibly more importantly, a little bit extra fuel on board. Don't expect these drivers to kind of make it all the way to the end of the race from here, but you never know. We've seen stranger things happen here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Just going to go check out the chat here tonight. We do have one of our pit crew members, Stan Hausman, in the chat saying, fun Wilkesboro fact, you're going downhill into turn number 1 and uphill into turn number 3. We've mentioned that a couple times here tonight. Definitely, it is a fun fact. It makes this racetrack so unique. Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine out front here, but we're hearing that caution flag has come out again here tonight. See what happened here. Hearing it involved potentially the number 34 machine of Garrett Austin here, Drew. Let's see what happened here on this restart.
Yeah, I mean, towards the back of the field right here, I'm going to assume cold tires going into 1. Oh, that looks like a hardware failure there, Peter. Something maybe monitor went black, wheel unplugged. But definitely, I can't imagine that was anything other than a hardware. Lord, that's difficult for me to say. Hardware failure for the number 34 machine. And quite frankly, just kind of the responsible thing. Kind of, I mean, that looks like his monitor went black, and he was just trying to not hit the car in front of him, and just turn to the right into the outside wall, slams on the brakes to make sure you don't drive too deep in the corner. Got to imagine that something like that is what caused that incident. And we just kind of continue to shrink this field, though, Peter. 3 out of our 20 starters now out of this race as a 34 has now formally retired. So just down to 17 trucks. And this is not uncommon for these short tracks, Peter, is kind of a rash of early cautions. And the guys that were bringing out the cautions kind of take themselves out of the race. And then you get longer green runs as the race develops. We'll see if that's the trend here tonight. But I certainly don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Is that number 3 machine of Jason Shue potentially staying out?
Yeah, Jason Shue, I believe he was our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award under the last caution flag that we had. So Jason is now back on the lead lap. So I think we missed that under that last caution. Big shout out to Brookstone Animal Hospital located in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area for sponsoring the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series League Lucky Dog Award. Very, very fitting. Just going to check out the chat and mention that Stan Hausman is one of our pit crew members. If you want to become a pit crew member here of 3 Wide TV, just 99 cents a month. You can also use Super Chats as well if you want to get something read out for sure. 110% will read out those Super Chats for everyone here tonight. But you can get the custom emotes as well, the green flag, yellow flag, and 3 Wide TV and more logos and such as emotes here in the chat. And Stay Tuned Sports saying, can I get a whiskey glass emoji? I think there's already one of those, but if you have a custom emoji, we are open to add. We have some open emoji slots left, so just shoot me a message with the emoji slot. We'll see if we can add it I don't know if we can add that because it involves alcohol. I don't. I'd have to reread the terms of emoji slots here on YouTube because there are limitations as to what you can put an emoji up of. But it's very possible. But we do have some open emoji slots, so if you have an emoji idea, let us know in the chat. As we're about to go green flag here, Drew, on lap number 50, 131 laps to go here tonight. And Jason Gracias leads us towards turn number 1.
Yeah, kind of the first time the 1 has been able to actually lead the field, as he kind of got that lead based on caution. Timing is, the 11 of Chris Darling just about lost it coming out of turn 2. Racing underneath the 12 of John Cannizzaro. The number 11 trying to get all the room and the track that he could get off the corner. And then that, I thought there might have been a little bump there, as maybe Chris Darling didn't love that the 12 maybe didn't give him room. I just saw hard racing right there. And quite frankly, the 11 just kind of driving really hard and potentially getting into the side of that number 12 machine. Is the 11 does spin it this time, and not to the inside wall, but he's going to lose all of his track position as the 9 goes around now for the third time. And now we have once again another caution here on lap 52 involving one of our chasers, though I don't think any contact happened between the 11 and the wall or any other truck, because now will ride on board with Chris Darling. You see that bottom lane right there. I know I always had problems on the exit of turn 4 when NSRA was here earlier in the year, and that's kind of what happened right there for the 11 of Chris Darling. Just gets loose off the corner, and then the number 9 spins as well, and the 11 just stops right there to make sure he doesn't get caught up in a secondary wreck. But that's a huge setback for Chris Darling's chase aspirations, as he was running in the lead earlier tonight, and then all of a sudden finds himself stopped at the inside wall. The number 9, I think, locked it down trying to avoid stopped cars, or trucks rather, in front of him, and then probably a little too much rear brake, chatters the rear, sends it to the inside wall. And the 9 is probably the truck, is almost certainly the truck that got the most damage out of that whole incident. But here we go. I believe our second, third, potentially, awardee of the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, and that's Garrett Austin, who is now back out on track.
Yeah, Garrett Austin, who had an extended stay on pit road after his last incident out there on the racetrack. He's being scored now about 6 or so laps behind your race leader, Jason Gracias. So a lot of lucky dogs needed for him to get back on the lead lap, but we might very well see that here by the end of the race. And Adam Dama from Korea has joined the 3Y TV pit crew. Adam, thanks for joining the pit crew, and make sure you use those 3Y TV emotes in the chat. You can use them, but I really do appreciate you doing that. And you said, "Oh wait, VPN is a thing." That's right. I think you said that you couldn't do that in South Korea. So thanks for doing that. Stay tuned Sports saying, "How do I join again?" There should be a join button here on the video. So you go right next to where you would subscribe to the channel. There should be a new join button. So very similar to if you were to subscribe to the channel, you can now hit that join button. Wham Bam Tesla's Crash Cam jumping on in. How's it going, Wham Bam Tesla's Crash Cam? Great to see you back here on 3Y TV. Appreciate your support. And Dalton Hayes saying that's really easy to do off turn number 4 here. And yeah, sure enough, it is very easy to do off of turn number 4, like Drew was saying. Easy to catch people out. Stan Hausman, Super Chat in here. Super Chat for every lucky dog from here on out. How about that? Every Brookstone Animal Hospital. I wasn't very smart there. I had to use my old noggin to figure out what BAH stood for. it finally got there. Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog from here on out. Stan, very much appreciate that, and we might have quite a few Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Awards out there. Make sure to check them out, as well as Beer Street Journal. Stan Hausman instrumental in bringing in BeerStreetJournal.com, as well as the Brookstone Animal Hospital, to the series sponsors here in the National Sim Racing Association. Links to their pages in the description. But green flag is about to come out, and Jason Gracias is again your race leader, and now Chris Darling's going to have a huge task, because he's going to be well back in this restart as we go back green.
Yeah, and my kind of question is, Peter, is I didn't catch it. Did the 11 come down on pit lane? I don't know if he did or not. Because if he took tires, I mean, this is kind of would be an interesting strategy. It's kind of probably what I would do if I were that 11, based on kind of that whole circumstances. Maybe if you take some fresh tires, now you have a tire advantage relative to everyone around you, and basically you're starting where you would have started had you pitted anyways. So it'd be interesting to see if I'm going to go back and kind of do my research here, Peter, and see. No, the 11 did not hit. So no fresh tires for that 11, as a matter of fact, is Doug Neal. And that number 4 machine of Ben Mashburn racing side by side is now we're looking at Adam Leichty in that 20, in the 51, racing the 23 machine of Travis White. And now kind of looking at our overall field, and you can see just how quickly, only a couple laps after our restart, we only had, what, 1 or 2 trucks racing side by side, Peter, as the 11 of Chris Darling trying to work his way back up through the field.
Yeah, Chris Darling currently racing around Jeff Price, who says that he is dealing with a sore hand here tonight. As Doug Milliner in the number 6 right in front of Chris Darling goes off of the racetrack. I think he's going to rejoin, but Doug Milliner going to lose quite a bit of time in his Ford F-150. At least a lot of ground slide back behind Jeffrey Johnson Jr. Unfortunately for Jeffrey Johnson Jr., not sure if he's had a moment or something in his F-150, but remember, Drew, he qualified up inside the top 10 in the craigsetupshop.co.uk poll shootout. He started in the 8th position, now riding in the 16th spot right behind Garrett Austin. Austin still multiple laps down in his Chevy Silverado. But let's see what's going on here. Side-by-side action between Vincent Valvano in the Backcraft 64 and Jeff Price. Price just now running outside of the top 10 in 11th. There's Chris Darling in front of him, and I think Darling, Drew, might have had to check up for the spinning number 6, and maybe not spinning, but at least the truck that went down into the grass and now has quite a lot of work to do to catch up to the back of the other Backcraft machine, that being of Tristan Maher, who we haven't really mentioned a whole lot here tonight, running behind the number 23 of Travis White, one of our chase drivers. It hasn't been a great start to the chase at all for that number 23 in front of Maher. But right now, both of these drivers inside the top 10, as Maher getting a little bit sideways over the bumps on entry into turn number 3.
Yeah, here they go. Tristan Maher, Justin White battling for Travis White, not Justin White. Good Lord. Justin White in the number 2 machine, not on track tonight. Travis White in the number 23 machine is, and Travis and Tristan battling for that 8th position. As not too intensive a battle though, Peter, but this is kind of a cluster of trucks from Matt Cherry on back to that 17. Is basically 5th to 9th, all right there. One mistake, and you could fall from 5th to 9th in just basically a corner. As that number 11 of Chris Darling, as you mentioned, he fell pretty far back from the 17. As there's just over a second between those two. Well, now just under a second, as Chris Darling had a pretty good lap. Is now 9/10 of a second separate that 17 and the 11 machine. There you go. Yeah, 2.5 tenths that last lap. As kind of a truly train going on, I think, between Ben Mashburn, Matt Cherry, and kind of the rest of these guys is, being a little quicker is not going to make a whole lot of a difference here. Is the number 12 of John Cannizzaro here, Peter, now starting to hound that number 1 of Jason Grossi, is potentially trying to grab this race lead.
Yeah, we're closing in on the halfway mark, just 20 laps from the cross flags here tonight. And like you said, Drew, Cannizzaro now all over the back bumper of the number 1. And I'm not all too surprised. These two, Cannizzaro and Jason Gracias, have really been going toe-to-toe over the last 3 weeks here in the National Sim Racing Association. They are very equal on pace. Just about every racetrack we go to. We've been to Charlotte Motor Speedway. These two duked it out. We went to Homestead, Miami last week. These two duked it out. And now here tonight at North Wilkesboro, they're duking it out once again for the race lead. Nathan Maurer and Matt Cherry locked in a battle for position. Look at this battle right now. This is the battle for 4th. But Nathan Maurer to the inside of Matt Cherry as Cherry gets Well, a signature move, Drew, sideways for turns number 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise to see that 54 wheeling it there as both Nathan Maurer and the 54 get a little loose off of 4, although the 971, Nathan Maurer gets a lot more loose and now is going to have to kind of recover. And now what you see with the 54 is kind of the problem that these guys are going to have to face, and that's that you get loose once. It gives you light up those rears, and now you have a propensity to become more and more loose, continuing to slide those rears. And then, quite frankly, Peter, no longer have you heated those things up, but you've actually started to wear them out as you continue to slide that rear. And that's probably what Matt Cherry's going to be facing, is he is still wiggling that number 54 machine off of, it seems like, the exit of every single corner right here. Although turn 4, a little bit of a wiggle, but not too dramatic, as Nathan Maurer now trying to retake that 6th position away from Adam Lichty. And this is one thing, Peter, that the 971 is going to have to ensure that he's up there in the top 4, top 5 if he wants to continue his challenge and his competition with that top, the rest of the top 3 in points. And of course, that is the 11 of Chris Darling as well, who is battling that number 23 of Travis White, and that is for that 9th position. And that's what the 11's done pretty well, Peter, is he has done a decent job recovering, as now he's kind of in this mass of trucks, and he, quite frankly, could find himself in 5th in a matter of laps if he's able to effectively and efficiently get around this 23 truck and the trucks in front of him.
Yeah, and a little bit further up, looks like Nathan Maurer has gotten past Adam Lichty for position, but caution flag is waving here on lap number 79. Not sure what brought it out. Let's see if we can see. It might have involved the number 3 machine of Jason Shue. Let's see what we can see here in the 3 Chevy Silverado, and oof, gets loose out of turn number 4. We've seen that multiple times here tonight. Good job just getting the brakes on and avoiding coming up in front of some of this other traffic, but that will put him 1 lap down. We do believe Garrett Austin will be our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner here, but we have some stuff happening out there on the racetrack. Jason Gracias comes down onto pit road, and a very quick stop for the number 1 machine, Drew. Did not take any tires, but then we also had some drivers like Matt Cherry stay out. It's going to be a very mixed bag here when we go back to green flag. Let's see if we can kind of run down. No, Matt Cherry's coming down pit road now. Wow. Split decisions. Maybe this is kind of the pit window. Cherry coming down. Looks like Tristan Maher on pit road, Vincent Valvano, Jason Shue, Jeff Price as well, Jeffrey Johnson Jr. Well, let's see if we can see Garrett Austin right there. There he is, getting another one of his laps back, and another Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award going to the number 34 Chevy Silverado. So continuing to make up some of those laps. But our race leader after that second time by pit road was this driver here. I was thinking he was going to come down pit road there, Drew. It kind of looked like he might, but he elected to stay out. But a very, very, very mixed bag between these drivers with their pit stop times. Let's see if we can bring up this graphic here. Well, unfortunately, the graphic, I guess, hasn't exactly updated for their most recent pit stop, so that's not, unfortunately, not very helpful. But I can at least describe to the folks back at home what all happened on pit road. Jason Gracias, Drew, first driver off pit road in the number 1. No tires on his truck. Then you have John Canizaro, Doug Neal, Ben Mashburn, Travis White, Chris Darling, going to be 4th through 8th. They all took tires on pit road, so Gracias is kind of on his own strategy. Then you have the front 2 of Nathan Maurer and Adam Lichty on their own strategy, and then you have a whole bunch of trucks that came down and took tires. Going to be very interesting to see how this all sorts out. Tires versus no tires. Of course, if you didn't take tires this time, you saved an extra set of tires for later in the race. How's that going to pan out? Only time will tell here.
Yeah, and it's so hard with these tire limits to know what the right strategy is in the moment. You just never know. You just never know. You might do everything logically, and you know, if a statistician were to tell you this is the percentage that this would win you the race, it still doesn't work out like that necessarily, as the 971 leads them back to the green flag here now on lap 84, as Jason Gracias making a move on the inside of Adam Lichty, as that 4 and 12 machines behind Jason Gracias, of course, have fresh tires, but you can't really make a 3-wide pass here work, Peter, if someone's not going to either give or go around. And so there's really nowhere for the 12 and the 4 to go. And honestly, Peter, this is what the 1 wants to see, is these guys just kind of eat up their tires behind him and have no real place to go, as the 4 of Ben Mashburn forcing a 3-wide, turns John Cannizzaro into Adam Lichty, and that's going to be a caution with huge championship implications.
Huge championship Incas, as the number 4 machine, Ben Mashburn, his engine is blown, and oh my goodness, championship Incas for sure, as the number 12 of John Cannizzaro, smoke billowing out the back of the Maxwell house. I tell you what, you don't want smoke coming out of your coffee machine. You definitely don't want smoke coming out of your race truck, but holy smokes. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but it will come out as a pun. What on earth happened here, Drew, to bring out this caution flag right up at the front of the field? We're going to have to put this one into 3-wide TV slow motion to sort it out. Ben Mashburn trying to get underneath Adam Lichty right there, forces it kind of 3-wide. Cannizzaro coming up the racetrack, and there's the contact. Cannizzaro wasn't expecting the 3-wide and turns up into Adam Lichty. Now, what happened with Chris Darling? Was Darling there in the number 11 able to scoot on through? Looks like the answer to that is yes, but the 4 of Mashburn smashes into the inside wall. Doug Neal getting involved. Look at Matt Cherry scooting on through in the 54. He might have got a piece of the 4, but not bad. Josh Corner coming in the 9. Doug Milliner giving a lick to the side of the 12 and the 17 of Tristan Maher. That was a full-on track blockage for everyone here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the move from Ben Mashburn, if I'm honest. I mean, I don't want to say I prophesized that this is what happens at 3-wide, but there's just not room. There's just not room there. I don't think the 12 really moves up that much, Peter. I think the 4 just kind of sticks his nose in a place where that was never going to work. This was always going to be the result. It's just who paid the price. And it ended up being a championship contender. In fact, 2 championship contenders technically, because the 4 Ben Mashburn was a chase driver as well. And that's just, to me, Peter, on lap 89, which is what we're on now, but on lap 87, when that happened, you just don't need to force that. If it's lap 160, 180, that's kind of a different story. But on lap 80 something, you just don't need to do that. And that tore half the field up right here, as just guys, oh my goodness, Josh Corner smashes into a truck that's parked. Is that tore up half the field? That's the big one, quite frankly here, Peter. If that many trucks were involved in a wreck at Talladega or Daytona, we would absolutely label that as the big one, as the track was completely blocked. And I mean, there's nothing the 12 can do, and there's nothing that truck on the high lane could do. I can't quite honestly remember who exactly that. I think it was the 17 of Tristan Maher, maybe. I can't quite remember. It was a blue truck on that top lane. Oh no, it's the 51. My apologies, Adam Lichty. There's nothing those guys can do. If you're the truck that's putting it into a 3-wide situation, you got to know, we're coming out of 4. This is going to tighten up. I need to back out, and the 4 didn't. And then what happened.
Yeah, Matt Cherry doing just about all he could do to scoot on through there. I think he might have actually scooted away without any significant damage, so that is good for him. Now, we do have to update everyone here as to what all happened out there on the racetrack. The number 3 machine, Jason Shue, was your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner. He's now inside the top 10 as we are back to green flag. There we go. Show what's going on there. But up at the front of the field, Jason Gracias. Remember, Drew, he stayed out, did not stay out. Came down pit road, but did not change tires. Basically, everyone behind him did change tires. You can see Chris Darling there closing in on fresher tires, but we're pretty much now single file up at the front of the field. I kind of expect this to be a battle for the race lead here soon. Travis White battling with his teammate Nathan Maurer, who in his Simbach Chevrolet looks all right. If you're wondering where John Cannizzaro Jr. is, on pit road in his number 12, getting damage repaired. Ben Mashburn also getting damage repaired as well. We'll see whether or not we can see them back out on the racetrack here tonight. Adam Leichty in his number 51 Harpoon Designs Toyota, battling with the number 64 there, Vincent Valvano, the 64 Bagcraft machine. This is the battle currently for the 7th position, and Drew, with Jason Shue being our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this most recent caution, we are only now at 12 drivers on the racetrack on the lead lap. That's how crazy that last accident was. Jeff Price off the racetrack, Doug Neal off the racetrack. We've highlighted John Canizaro, Ben Mashburn, Joshua Corner also off the racetrack after that incident. A lot of trucks involved in that, and now the lap count winds down, but the truck count is winding down. It seems like almost as fast.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly has a really good chance, I think, for a big old long green flag run, which I don't necessarily know is what the one wants to see. Is Chris Darling is in a really good position, as is Matt Cherry, Matt Cherry, I think, was kind of struggling before that caution, but now he's in a great position to get a top 5 and to kind of assert himself into this championship battle potentially, as he has fresh tires. The 11 has fresh tires. The number 1 of Jason Gracias, to me, Peter, is the one that is going to pray to just kind of hold on for now and then get a caution in a little bit and change those tires off to some fresh ones, because he is at a considerable disadvantage relative to the number 11 and the number 54 machines behind him, as Nathan Mowers joined in this battle as well. And I got to be honest, Peter, I think that this number 1 of Jason Gracias is doing a fantastic job given his tire deficit to the 11 and the 54 and the 971, as now there is a battle for the race lead.
Yeah, battle for the race lead. 4 trucks involved: Gracias, Darling, Cherry, and Maurer. All 4 of these drivers are Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Chase drivers. I do want to make mention that 5th place in points entering into tonight, Justin Light not in this event. Hopefully all is well with Justin and his family, as now Nathan Maurer looking to the outside of the 54 of Matt Cherry, and now looks like can Gracias still hold on with those older tires. He pitted, I think, somewhere around lap number 30, so these tires are probably 40 or so laps older than Chris Darling, but now Maurer trying to use that outside line to get second spot. Remember, he's still in that picture, Drew. He was 19 points behind John Canizaro Jr. More on Canizaro here in a second, but at 19 points behind, Maurer is in a good spot. I like where he is. I like where he's running as he completes the pass on Chris Darling using that higher groove, and we'll go to work here on the number 1 of Gracias.
Yeah, I mean...
Yep, go ahead.
Truly surprising that this number 1 has been able to do what he's doing. I feel like he's just running that perfect lane, although the 971 on the bottom, I think that's the move right there, the 971 diving to the bottom. He's just going to... I think you're going to have to be a little ruthless, because I just feel like Jason Gracias has really done a great job with these tires. Here we go. The 971 cleared the number 1 machine. Now can Chris Darling do the same, as Nathan Maurer definitely trying to insert himself into this championship battle, as he is leading here with, quite frankly, Peter, a very short 76 laps to go. That's not a lot of on-track time under green flag conditions here at North Wilkesboro, as now the 11 machine as well clears the number 1 of Jason Gracias, and now this 1 machine is just counting down the laps so he can equalize his tires with those around him, because, I mean, honestly, Peter, it's not ideal for this number 1 right now to kind of be in a much worse position tire-wise, especially if a long green run were to happen. But there's only really 10 trucks that are on competitive pace right now. So if this one can just not fall a lap down, I think he's going to be okay. But that big one, he was hoping was going to happen a lot later. That happening on in the lap 80-ish, 85-ish, was less than ideal, but though it certainly was ideal for Nathan Mowers, the number 14 machine of Jeff Price back out on track, 18 laps down. I know Josh Corner, John Canizaro, Ben Mashburn all have disconnected and formally retired. as Nathan Maurer now with a 7/10 of a second lead up on Chris Darling, as Jason Gracias though still holding on to third, but Matt Cherry hounding him all over that number one's rear tailgate.
Here's an interesting thing, though, Drew, about Nathan Maurer in that 971 machine, and this graphic that's about to pop up here is going to indicate that Nathan Maurer actually pitted 9 laps after Chris Darling did. Nathan Maurer was one of those 2 trucks with, I think, Adam Lichty, who both stayed out on the lap number 78 caution, 77 lap 78 caution, somewhere around there. He stayed out, then came back down pit road. So Nathan Maurer that you're looking at right now has the freshest tires inside the top 10. All things considered, I think Adam Lichty might have also taken tires on lap number 87 based off of the pit road time. He might have also just been fixing damage. But Maurer's got fresher tires than Darling, and he's checking out right now. He's using that 9-lap tire advantage to his advantage right now. And the good thing about that tire advantage is you can kind of run those tires pretty hard with a 9-lap advantage, Drew. It's pretty significant. It's a good amount of laps. Granted, not all of those laps are under green flag, let's be honest, but it's enough that Maurer can go out there, run those tires hard, and then kind of back off just a little bit. He did have to use quite a bit of tire when he was racing hard around some of the other trucks around him. But nonetheless, he's up there. He's having a good showing, as right now, the number 1 of Jason Gracias has also been passed by the number 54 of Matt Cherry, who's up into third, one of our chase drivers who did not have the greatest start to his chase. He currently sits in the point standings pretty well back. He had a bad finish last week at Homestead after spinning his number 54 truck. He fell from 3rd to 7th. He, of course, got that win at Daytona, Drew, a couple of weeks back, and we were all saying that's the best start you can have to the chase. But then Homestead happened, and he finished 20th, so it kind of averaged out. He's back down in 7th, hoping to rebound here tonight after Daytona last week.
Yeah, certainly the case, as Daytona, I mean, a big misfortune for a lot of people. Homestead as well kind of changed the championship battle, as though Jason Grassi is still now maintaining 4th position, having lost 3rd to Matt Cherry. Nathan Maurer with almost a 2-second advantage over Chris Darling. And Peter, you mentioned the tire advantage. I certainly didn't realize that, as I'm sure most of the viewers at home didn't realize that as well, as the number 6 of Doug Milner racing Travis White there for that 5th position with Adam Lichty as well. And a pretty solid battle here for that 5th position. Is I'm really impressed with the number 1 of Jason Gracias. I know I've been kind of singing his praises here tonight, but he is still right on the rear tailgate of that number 54 machine. As the 1 really drove it into turn 1 and almost dumped the number 54 there on lap 119. And that's what we're talking about, Peter, is 180 laps does sound like a lot, and it can be if you have 18 cautions, but it can also go by really, really quickly, especially when you have a massive wreck like we had there in lap 85, 86, 87. And so I think that this is going to probably be the trend, not saying that there can't be a caution. It only takes 1 truck to bring out a caution, but it's certainly going to be an interesting battle here to the end. It's going to be tire conservation to the max, and the fact that number 1 with older tires, considerably older tires than the trucks that he's racing with, is being able to hold on to the rear tailgate of the 54, who has what, Peter, 40 lap fresher tires, is pretty incredible. As that's really close right there on the exit of 4, as I think the 1 might kind of recapture this position here. This 3rd spot is the 54, Matt Cherry. He's certainly not going to be saving his tires driving like that, as the 1 of Jason Gracias dives to the inside. The 54 dead sideways through 3 and 4 as well right there, Peter. And the number 1, Jason Gracias, back up into 3rd. And I got to say, this is quite a drive that we're seeing out of Jason Gracias.
Yeah, and he's got that extra set of tires on pit road, which could come into play later on in the race. That is for sure, but the longer the race goes, the kind of less important those extra set of tires on pit road become. We'll see whether or not that is true, as Gracias has a little bit of sliding in turn number 1 as well. But up at the front, there's Nathan Maurer. Now, I was going to bring up this graphic because this is a very interesting graphic at the bottom of the screen, because Nathan Maurer, Chris Darling, it's starting to flip-flop here, Drew. You see that. Chris Darling was a few hundredths of a second slower, and now Chris Darling a little green past couple of laps. We'll see whether or not Darling is green again this lap, but yeah, just a little bit. So we will see whether or not Darling can start to claw away at this lead that the number 971 machine has. At least over the last couple of laps, it's been fairly even, but it, you know, there's still plenty of laps left for Darling to close in on this driver that you see right here, Nathan Maurer. Now, we do have a Nathan Maurer fan in the chat, as that time Darling did not have a good lap time as he caught the lap traffic of Garrett Austin, kind of at a not so opportune spot. But we do have a Nathan Maurer fan in the chat. Adam Dama is in the chat rooting for the 971 machine. Stan Hausman as well, saying, I enjoy racing with the 971 each and every week here on Rewind TV in the National Sim Racing Association. So we got a couple of drivers rooting on that 971. And one thing to note, Drew, he was our regular season champion without a single win, looking for his first win this season. And how awesome would it be for him to kind of assert himself as saying, hey, I'm not just playing around here in the chase. I won the regular season points title based off of merit, and I want a shot at that crown.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way to do it than to kind of grab a victory here at North Wilkesboro. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pulling up his entire career stats. Oh, this is the 2021B, so I gotta pull up the overall. I'm trying to figure out if Nathan Maurer has won a race. I can't remember, Peter. Has he won a race in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series?
Well, I'm trying to think myself whether he has. I believe he won last season here in the Truck Series, and that win. Boy, I've slept since then. I'm pretty sure he's won at least one race back at Iowa way back, and I'm pretty sure of that, as caution flag has come out, though. We will put a pin in that one, at least for now. Pretty sure Maurer has a win or two to his name, but it has been a while since that happened. We're hearing that it's the number 33 machine of Jeffrey Johnson Jr., the new Edge Auto Detailing machine. Look at Matt Cherry, a couple of trucks in front of him with a bucking Bronco. That's pretty typical from the number 54 of Matt Cherry, as he really slid back, but looks like Jeffrey Johnson Jr. just cooked it a little bit too much out of turn number 2. Spun off the racing surface, but that was enough for iRacing to throw the caution flag. And now we will see a whole slew of trucks on pit road, led by Nathan Maurer into his pit box. This time he's able to get into his pit box nicely. A couple of times ago, he did miss his pit box. Here comes Travis White getting back going. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. also staying out right now. We'll see whether or not that is going to be the case. Looks like the 971 wins the race off pit road. Then Chris Darling and Jason Gracias. So our top 3 points drivers still left in the show here tonight. Currently up there in the top 3 off of pit road. But Travis White, Drew, he did not take any tires under this caution flag. And Jeffrey Johnson Jr., I did mention him that he stayed out to lead a lap, which he did, but now he is on pit road the second time by. We do need to make mention, though, of the driver. You see him there at the top of your screen. That is Tristan Maher, who is picking up our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. And speaking of the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, big shout out to Stan Hausman in the chat, who is providing a super chat every single time we give out that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. So Stan, thank you very much. The question that he poses for the booth here is this the last stop of the night? Drew, what do you think? I think we had about a 40-lap run there. Another 40 laps would pretty much see us out to the checkered flag.
I would say in the case of Chris Darling, Nathan Maurer, Matt Cherry, a bunch of the drivers, yep, they don't have any more tires. If I'm not mistaken, Peter, I think that was the last stop for quite a few of the drivers. That was their third pit stop, their fourth set overall of tires, including the ones that they started the race on. So I think there's only a couple drivers out there that might have one or more stops. This number 23 machine of Travis White is going to be interesting to see with those, quite frankly, really old tires that he has on that Simbox machine. And then Jason Gracias, of course, has that extra set of tires. To me, this is not what Nathan Maurer wanted to see. He wanted to see a green run to the end, however unlikely that probably was going to be. But this is Jason Gracias just, I think it plays directly into his strategy that he has that extra set of tires if he needs them. He doesn't necessarily need them, especially now at this point, but he has that just in case. He can cover off the strategy of those around him as we are going to get going green here as they roll through 3 and 4. The 23 machine is our control truck. He controls when this race restarts, as it does exiting turn 4, though. A great restart by Nathan Maurer, and I think he's probably going to grab the lead through 1 and 2, Peter.
Yeah, on fresher tires, Travis White's tires definitely a lot older at this stage of the race, so he gets very quickly passed by his teammate Nathan Maurer, and now a full slew of trucks on that. Oh, contact! The number 11, Chris Darling, goes around after contact with the number 23 of Travis White. He is pointing backwards now, coming out the racetrack, folks. Whoa, slow on down. And that will be the second time we have seen Chris Darling go around. Let's see if we can see what happened. There was definite contact, Drew, between the number 11 and the number 23. Let's see if we can see this one from this camera angle. Another thing about this racetrack is it's progressively banked. The bottom side of the racetrack is a little bit flatter than the top. And I almost want to say Darling might have been drifting down a little bit mid-corner, but the 23 of Travis White definitely drifted up late in the corner, just tagged the Taz machine. As it looks like maybe even Adam Leichty might have got a little bit of front-end damage, but Darling won't be a happy camper after that, that's for sure, because he's going to have to race through the field once again.
Yeah, the first time was his own mistake. The second time, I think the 23, when you're on old tires and you're racing, vehicles around you that are on fresher tires, you're going to pick up the throttle when they pick up the throttle, just kind of out of your peripherals and everything like that. And the 23 just didn't have the grip, slid up and tagged the left rear of that 11, who doesn't have a ton of damage, but, his left rear is pretty torn up. But I don't think he has any damage that's going to cause him real pace issues. His tires are probably pretty torn up from sliding that much. And then, of course, just the track position lost is less than ideal. What are we queuing up a replay of, Pete?
Well, we're trying to see whether or not we gave out a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. I kind of have a feeling that we might not have given one out under this particular caution flag, just because I think something might have happened to a couple of the trucks that were in the eligible spot for the Lucky Dog Award. So not 100% sure what that particular situation is or not. Maybe Nick Kessler? No. Nick Kessler. Pretty sure Kessler was on the lead lap when it all went down. So we'll just kind of double check and make sure as we get another little break in the action here tonight before we go back green here very shortly. But yeah, I'm not seeing a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. The only thing I could think of is the fact that all the drivers that were eligible for it were not eligible for some reason, like they clipped the wall or something. So I did a pretty thorough look, but I will say Jason Shue is in the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award right now. Tristan Maher got the last one. He is on the lead lap, currently being scored in 10th position. But we're about to go back green here. Drew will have 37 laps to go when the green flag drops.
Yeah, here we go. The 971 Nathan Maurer, our control truck this time, is a good restart on that high lane for Nathan Maurer. Now Jason Gracias is the one that's going to have to chase him down and make that pass work. as we are rapidly closing in on the final stages of this race. And it's Nathan Maurer with the race lead. Jason Gracias in second. The number 23 of Travis White restarted in third. He's not running there anymore. Now it's Matt Cherry with Chris Darling, Peter, reestablishing himself in fourth position. What a recovery, as we have another caution as the 6 of Doug Milner's around.
Doug Miller spins it around in turn number 1 and 2, and caution flag waves again. Let's see if we can see what happened to the Pfizer Viagra number 6 F-150. Having a little bit of dysfunction here in turns number 1, getting a little bit slideways, and goes around, gets that thing. Ooh, might have been a little bit of a tap from Adam Leichte as well, but gets things pointed in the right direction. Again, we'll get another look at that one, and I believe that the number 3 machine will be our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award under this caution. As goes off into turn number 1, back and steps out, tries to save it, a little bit too late on that. And you can see just a little bit of nudge from behind, but that will bring out the caution flag here again. Let's go check out the chat here. It looks like Stan Hausman saying contact, contact, contact. But Stan Hausman also saying not the Doug Milner Underwear Emporium, for goodness sakes. The Doug Milner Underwear Emporium machine has sure enough gone around. Gonna probably need a new pair of underwears and pull that out of the bins in his Emporium somewhere. As you're looking right there at our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this particular caution, Jason Shu, who will be back on the lead lap, has had some trials and tribulations, and I think all 4 quarter panels of that Chevy Silverado tell that story here tonight. But back in the fight, being scored in the 8th position as they run. We did have a couple of drivers come down pit road. Tristan Maher is coming down into his pit box right now. Adam Leichte, I believe, also he came down pit road here. And more importantly, Adam Leichte has fallen 1 lap down, presumably due to that contact where he ran into the back of, I believe, Travis White, who's also made a couple of pit stops here. You see that rear spoiler kind of crinkled on in. So Travis White will be restarting down there in 8th. And speaking of restarting, looks like we're doubling up, but the pace car lights are still on. So we'll go an extra lap here under this caution flag. It'll be about 30 laps to go when the green flag waves again for Maurer. See if he can hold on to the race win.
Yeah, Nathan Maurer in a great position on now just 31 laps to go here on lap 50 with 1 to go. We'll restart with 30 to go, Peter, and we'll see. There's only 10 trucks on the lead lap, I believe 12 or 12? Yeah, 12 trucks out on track at this moment, if the 34 of Garrett Austin's still out there, which he is. So the 971 and Nathan Maurer restarting on that high lane, trying to carry that momentum. The number 1 is Jason Grossi is trying to get a good restart to ensure that 971 can't get out too far in front. Oh, big wheel spin by the 54, but Nathan Maurer clears the one going into turn 1, though the Jason Grossi is trying to make that bottom work. The number 11 of Chris Darling trying to get to the high lane as well as that number 11. What a recovery, Peter, back up into 3rd.
Yeah, he's been around twice here tonight. Been involved in 2 significant caution flags, and he is kind of like the Tasmanian Devil, just keeps coming back, and like a whirlwind through the field, he's back up into 3rd, but here comes Jason Grossi, looking to the rear quarter panel of the 971 machine, now going to see if he can cut back underneath his Chevy Silverado, not able to do so. They stay single file up at the front of the field. Adam Leichte is side-by-side with the number 17, Tristan Maher. That is not for position, with Leichte being scored 1 lap down. Meanwhile, up at the front, Grossi is again very close. Garrett Austin has gone off the racetrack, back up onto the racing surface now. He is still multiple laps down in the 12th position, but up at the front, we will have to keep our focus here, Drew, because anything could happen very quickly in a hurry. My big question for you, Drew, is they had about 15 or so laps on their tires under this last caution flag, and Gracias could have come down and used his extra set that he still has. Do you think he should have come down to use that extra set, or do you think he's gonna get another caution flag to use? It might not matter here as he looks to the inside of Maurer.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think that he knows he's in a good spot right here. If you don't feel comfortable with your pace advantage and the fact that you can get it done to go grab that race lead, I think he should have pitted. I think lap 160 is probably the absolute latest that you should. I don't hate the fact that he didn't. He had those tires just in case. I think the strategy worked out okay for him. He didn't lose too much track position. Now he's on equal tires with everybody, and I think that on equal tires, there's nobody that can really match the pace of the one. It's just, can Jason Gracias get around this 971? But it's still really hard to pass, even with 15-lap pressure tires. There's good and bad arguments for pitting and not pitting, I think there's perfectly valid arguments for both. Maybe you don't want to restart the back. What if there's another big caution, you get caught up again? And that number one, though, really hounding Nathan Maurer, forcing that 971 to drive really defensively through 1 and 2 there, and just still on that tailgate. But I've got to say, Peter, a really fantastic job by Nathan Maurer. It seems like he's just taking away the line that Jason Gracias wants to run. And these laps are just clicking down as now we are coming very, very close to 20 to go.
The announcement in the chat asking about the number 88 machine of Nick Kessler. There is the Taz Racing Customs Chevy Silverado. And I'm just looking, Nick Kessler was last on pit road on lap 141 here tonight. Let's just go back and see if we can figure out when he was last on pit road in that machine. So he's pitted a lot here tonight, Stan. I think that is the answer. I mean, look, Nick Kessler has pitted so many times that you can't even count. It's 23 times he's been to pit road here tonight. So I don't know when he last got tires and whatnot. But yeah, very fresh-looking race truck. Doesn't look like a whole lot of damage. That crew has had plenty of time to fix that damage if there was any damage. As Nathan Maurer, Jason Gracias side by side for the race lead. That happened in a hurry. As now Gracias looking to the outside of Maurer. Can he keep that bag craft number one up front? Got a nose out front. Can he keep it there as they wind down on the lap count? 18 laps to go.
Yeah, what a move by Jason Gracias. And that's what we were talking about, Peter. If he felt comfortable that he could go grab that race lead, I think you got to stay out. And that's exactly what happened right there. A power move to the outside. And Nathan Maurer, I think, put up a heck of a contest. But just ultimately, I think Nathan Maurer once again, Matt Cherry, no surprise that he's sideways. I tell you, no one can drive a truck sideways like Matt Cherry can. It's just, is that always the quickest method to driving a truck? As certainly effort not unexplored for Matt Cherry as he's dead sideways into turn one again. Peter, I mean, he's like Ken Block in a truck around an oval. It's just so spectacular to watch this 54, albeit, again, not probably the most effective way to get around an oval.
You know, I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon 5, and, you know, they have these zones called drift zones, and you have to score the most drift points when you're going through a drift zone. Well, I think Matt Cherry just kind of envisions drift zones all over the track. And in fact, every track we go to, we saw him get loose in the tri-oval at Daytona a couple of weeks back. He went on to win that race. But yeah, he has some driving style, that's for sure. Not sure if he just takes the brake bias really far back and has a tendency to kind of cook the rear tires or something. But Cherry now really struggling for rear grip as he's fallen back to the 6th position. Now, one thing I was going to mention, Drew, as Gracias has now pulled out to a pretty decent lead and is looking to take the points lead here tonight, is the topic of John Cannizzaro Jr., who will be credited, it appears, with a 15th place finish. And I was just kind of looking at last week's result here in the Truck Series. The 15th place truck last week was Vincent Valvano. He picked up 119 points from that race. Chris Darling won the race and picks up 182 points last week. That is a 63-point swing from first to 15th. And if Cannizzaro is where he is now, I don't think Cannizzaro even led a lap here tonight, so that would make it a 64-point swing. Drew, that's huge. 64 points, and we'll bring up the point standings so everyone can kind of see the picture entering into tonight. Gracias was 6 points behind Cannizzaro. We could see John Cannizzaro Jr. leave North Wilkesboro 58 points out of the picture, and Gracias, Darling, and Maurer will all leapfrog John Cannizzaro as they run. It looks like when we leave North Wilkesboro, the points lead as they run will be Gracias, Darling, and Maurer, 1, 2, 3, and then John Cannizzaro slotting in a little bit further down. Of course, Ben Mashburn doesn't have a good night. Matt Cherry should jump frog Ben Mashburn. Travis White back there might gain a couple of positions as well. But we will definitely be looking back at this race as a possible big swing in the championship. Big championship Incas, as the term is thrown around here in the National Sim Racing Association.
Yeah, big championship Incas with 7 to go as that number 1 machine continues to lead up Jason Gracias over Nathan Maurer. But it's crazy how things can change between the 11 spinning, more or less spinning, twice, the 12 blowing his engine after a 3-wide scenario that he didn't create, and then Nathan Maurer kind of capitalizing on all the chaos to consolidate track position. Running in second position is now Jason Gracias, now crossing the start-finish line with just 5 to go. But not an insurmountable lead. It wouldn't take much of a mistake for that one machine to be hounded by Nathan Maurer, let alone if a caution were to come out. But nonetheless, the one doing a fantastic job playing the strategy aggressively conservative, if that can be said, in making sure he has an extra set of tires that I don't think he's going to need, as 4.5 laps to go. The 971 giving it all he's got in that SimBox machine, trying to run down Jason Gracias. And Peter, what a performance if we don't get a caution, quite frankly, by our top 3, all having to overcome adversity to get where they're at. This has been a heck of a drive by our entire podium.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever you get to use one less set of tires and still get the job done, that is extremely impressive. Nathan Maurer in the 971, also an extremely impressive run for him. And Chris Darling for the things that you've mentioned. But how about Nick Kessler? He's pitted a whopping 23 times here tonight, and he is trying to get his name on the podium. And whoa! Doug Milliner has gone around, but we're on the final lap. The caution flag will not come out. The leader, Jason Gracias, had just come across the start-finish line when Doug Milliner had gone around in the Pfizer machine, so he will be off out of the picture. Gracias comes out of the final corner, wins at North Wilkesboro for his 4th time this season, breaks the 3-way tie between Gracias himself, John Cannizzaro, and Chris Darling. And very, very impressive run. Great run by everyone inside the top 3. Great run there by Nick Kessler at the end to close in on Chris Darling. Not quite able to get around him, but Taz Racing Customs trucks finishing 3rd and 4th. And for Gracias right there here on the start-finish line, able to get to victory lane for the 4th time, Drew. Very, very impressive, and really asserting himself atop the point standings as the driver that everyone's going to have to go after in the final 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think that this was a performance, a proverbial shot across the bow of the rest of the field. The one, I don't need 4 sets of tires. I only need 3 to grab the checkered flag and to take this victory and to kind of assert my control over this chase with just 2 to go at, I believe, Auto Club in Atlanta, Peter, I believe, are the 2 races remaining. I know Auto Club is next, and then Atlanta, our old school finale. And it's going to take a lot, I think, to dethrone this number one machine with the amount of momentum that he's carrying as he blows his motor, doing a burnout between his performance last week that didn't finish the way he wanted, but tonight to do it on 3 sets of tires is a heck of an accomplishment.
That is for sure. Let's see if we can jump straight into the post-race, Drew. I know that you have to get up early tomorrow, so if you need to bounce on out here, feel more than welcome to. But we are going to jump straight into the third place interview here tonight with Chris Darling in his number 11 machine. Chris, Peter Short, 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. All things considered, you went around once coming out of turn number 4. You went around a second time coming out of turn number 4, and you still bounced back to finish in third place. I know retrospectively, you probably wish a couple of things had gone a little bit differently, but nonetheless, a very, very spirited drive to stay in the hunt for the championship here of the final 2 races.
Yeah, I don't know. I had winning speed, I felt like, and I just, I'm kind of disappointed in that. That really sucked. Just some contact with the 23. I don't know what the heck he was doing, but that seems to be par for the course. But we'll just let that one go. I don't know. I had a good run all night. I don't know. Coming off the corner, it was always loose, and I spun that first time. That's probably really what did me in because I could never really get that track position back. But whatever. We'll try again next week, I guess.
Yeah, of course, we got 2 races left, Auto Club Speedway, and then we round out the season at Atlanta. What are your thoughts about the final 2 races that we have left?
What do we have next week?
It's Auto Club next week.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really ran a ton there in the trucks. I'm sure I'll be fine there. Just got to find enough speed to keep up with the other 3 guys. I know Jason, Nate, and John will all be super quick. So it's sort of just a struggle to try and find the speed to keep up with those guys. They're all really fast drivers. And Atlanta, I always feel good about Atlanta. I like tracks that sort of tear your tires apart. So I think I have a good chance there. I just got to kind of maintain the distance and try to stay close. But, I mean, if Jason's going to keep winning these races, it's going to be pretty tough.
It is definitely going to be a tall order, but you are still in the picture, and I know luck didn't go your way a whole lot here tonight, but all it takes is for luck to strike someone at the wrong time, and you could have major championship Incas, as you say here. Before we let you go, Chris, anything you'd like to say, give a shout out to, and all that stuff?
Definitely want to give a shout out to the guys I was racing around all night. Jason, Nate, and Matt Cherry, and a couple other guys. Everybody raced pretty clean for the most part. I know there's a lot of side-by-side action. I hope you guys are able to see that on the broadcast. I want to give a shout out to Taz Racing Customs, Stay Tuned Sports, Beer Street Journal, Brookstone Animal Hospital, all the other sponsors that make the league run. It's been a good season, so hopefully we could finish out these last 2 races really well.
Absolutely. Chris, we'll see you next week at Auto Club as the championship has 2 races left. Best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's going to do it with Chris Darling, tonight's third place finisher. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's runner-up, the number 971 machine of Nathan Bauer, because Nathan had a spirited effort there, especially at the end. And Nathan, I thought at one point that we were going to go caution-free to the end. You had fresher tires than the entire field at that point, out there leading. Not quite able to hold off the number 1 of Gracias there at the end, but you gave it your all, and definitely showing that you're still in the hunt for this championship. And, you know, you're adding credit to the fact that you did win the regular season points tally. Very fast here tonight, and again, still in the picture with 2 races left.
I'm pretty much. Everyone knows Jason Gracias is going to win it all. I mean, he's the class of the field every week. The only way he never wins is if something bad happens or he makes a bad pit call. And I thought that was going to happen tonight there for a while, and then You always get somebody that has to ruin it, but it's racing. It happens. It's short track racing. I knew I was going to be good here. I'm not good here in the short run. I only ever have long run speed pretty much everywhere, and just trying to keep him behind me. And Jason's just that great of a driver. He could pass you on the inside or outside here. And I definitely didn't want to see that caution there. And I'm doing everything I can to be there, but I think he was up 19 points on me coming in here tonight. Now he's probably up 20, 24, 25, 26 points on me now. So maybe even more than that. I don't know. I don't even know where we're at next week, but I'll try closing it, and maybe he'll be on the short end of the stick next week. And I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to win in this league. And then Jason goes and does it every week. Chris does it every week. I feel like I'm always finishing second here, all the time. To either one of them two, and I just need them to finish second to me just one time.
Well, you say that you thought maybe the luck had swung a certain way at some point in your time, but it did swing a certain way for John Cannizzaro Jr. That type of thing can happen to your other competitors here as the season goes on, so don't think you're out of it just yet. There's a lot of calls and strategy calls left to be made in the final two races at Auto Club and Atlanta. We just heard from Chris Darling. What are your thoughts about the final two races that we have left this season?
I'm terrible at Auto Club. I mean, that is probably my worst track on iRacing. But I just ran a truck league on Thursday nights, and I won the championship, and the championship race was Auto Club. And got lucky there. Maybe I can get lucky next week. But Atlanta, I love Atlanta. It seems like whoever gets out front of Atlanta always kind of – it's just hard to pass there. After a while, the dirty air is key, especially in the Cup cars. I don't know how the trucks are there. But, Atlanta's going to be a fun championship race, and even if I'm not in contention, I'm not going to be any lenient to any of the guys that are still in contention for the championship. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm just glad it's not at Phoenix.
Yeah, it's definitely not at Phoenix this season. Nathan, before I let you go here tonight, any shout-outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, I got to give a shout-out to none of us would be here if it wasn't for Chris Darling. Hope he starts feeling better because he's feeling a little ill. That might have been an excuse in case he would have had a bad finish here tonight. Got wrecked and still finished third. Shout out to you, three-wide broadcasting. You guys do a great job up there, and my teammates, especially Doug Neal, Simbox, and then Travis White. I don't know where he finished fifth. I think he wrecked Chris. I don't really know what happened, but it's funny when Chris gets heated. But yep. Thanks to everybody out here tonight. It was a great time. Everybody raced clean. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it with the 971 machine of Nathan Maurer here tonight, folks. Congratulations on your runner-up, and we'll see you again next week, still trying to pick up your first win of the season. All right. Down to victory lane we go with the winner here tonight, that being the number one machine of Jason Gracias, and converted his CraigSetupShop.co.uk pole award into a victory here tonight. Jason, you got the job done. Your fourth win of the season, breaking a three-way tie for the most wins in the 2021-2022 Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series season. And it wasn't all easy. Talk us through that pass for the win there late in the race.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thankful that caution fell when it did. I saved 2 sets of tires. I put on my second set there at the end, and I knew that if I just saved, I'd have a shot. And I guess racing everybody clean, everyone raced me clean at the end, so I just put the truck where it needed to go, and once you got in clean air, this Backcraft number 1 Chevy was a rocket ship.
Yeah, definitely was a rocket ship. Great pass, great clean racing with other championship contenders here tonight. Chris Darling, John Cannizzaro Jr., Nathan Maurer, and you. Top 4 entering into tonight. How important was it to get that win, and how important is that to rolling into the final 2 races of the season at Auto Club next week and Atlanta the week after?
I don't know what the points look like, to be honest. I try to avoid that because then you get into that mental complex of I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I just try to go out every Friday night and have fun, try to win, try to make Backcraft happy. So as long as I'm having fun, I think I can make Backcraft happy, and I think I can try to get a win at least or a podium. So I think the next couple of races, that's the same mantra: have fun, keep the truck clean, and try to get a podium at least or top 5.
Well, we'll be watching out for that, Jason, over the next couple of weeks. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, shout out to everybody at our race today. I mean, it was just clean racing all around. Chris Darling at the beginning, we never made contact. Nathan Maurer, Doug Neal, Ben Mashburn, John Canizaro, everybody on the track too. Matt Cherry, everybody that I raced. Nobody I raced, we made contact, and when we did, it was light. So just kudos. That's how you race our short track, in my opinion. Just clean racing, having a blast. Thanks to Bagcraft, bagcraftcornhole.com for coming on board on this one truck. If you guys need any cornhole gear, t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, what have you, check out bagcraftcornhole.com. Their t-shirts are extra comfortable. It's good to support people who support us. So make sure you check out their website, pick up a shirt. And tell Tony Lucarelli you say hi. Thanks to MaxGrafix, Chris Darling, always giving me fire paint schemes throughout the season, whether it's the Campbell truck, the red shark truck, or the green shark truck. I think, in my opinion, I have the best truck out there. If you guys need anything done logo-wise, graphic-wise, paint scheme, sponsors, whatever, check out Chris at maxgraphics.co on Facebook or hit him up on the Discord. To get your Iverson paint, logo, or sponsor pitch done. Thanks to TNR, all the boys came out. Thuggy, Vinny, Shu, all came out to race. Good chatting with them, as always. Thanks to Through ITV for the broadcast. Thanks to NSRA for putting the league together. Chris Darling and his team. Justin White. They do a good job. Thanks to Stay Tuned Sports for the title sponsor, Stan Houseman for all he brings in to the league with his sponsorships to his various companies. Check out Beer Street Journal if you guys ever need a beer review. If you need a whiskey review, hit up your boy in the Discord. And I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Stan Houseman as well for the super chats here tonight. But Jason, congratulations, and we'll see you next Friday night.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
All right, so that's going to do it for our post-race interviews here on 3YT. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results for everyone at home wondering where their favorite driver finished. Here, it was a little bit of a slogfest in the North Wilkesboro 200. Jason Grossi has taken home the win. Nathan Maurer in the 971 coming home second, 1.15 seconds behind. Chris Darling, another 1.5 seconds behind him in third. Nick Kessler was hot on his heels there at the end in his Taz Racing Customs Chevrolet. And speaking of Taz Racing Customs, we'll get to the biggest mover of the race award here shortly. Travis White finishing in 5th. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. coming home in 6th. Matt Cherry, we saw him completely out of control multiple times here tonight, finishing in 7th. Tristan Maher finishing in 8th. And our Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race award goes to our 9th place finisher here tonight, Jason Shu, plus 12 spots. There, we'll bring up their graphic here in a moment. Doug Milliner finishing in 10th. Adam Lighty finishing in 11th, 1 lap down. Milliner, who had that last lap issue by spinning around, he's going to finish 1 lap down in that 10th position just before Lighty. Then you have other drivers multiple laps down. Garrett Austin finishing in 12th was the last runner at the checkered flag, 8 laps down. Jeff Price 13th. John Canizaro Jr. was the points leader entering into tonight's race, but a dismal finish for him after being involved in the big one. Joshua Corner finishes in 15th, and I'm not actually 100% sure because John Cannizzaro Jr., I guess he might have made it back out there on the racetrack or something to pick up one spot. Scored him in 15th at one point. Joshua Corner, like I said, 15th, though. Doug Neal, 16th. Ben Mashburn, 17th. And Randy Perdue rounding out our top 18. Just two other drivers got out there on the racetrack tonight, Adam Dalma and Vincent Valvano, who wraps up our 20 starters here tonight at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Like I mentioned, however, our Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race award does go to Jason Shue, plus 12 spots. If you can think of a custom diecast, well, Taz Racing Customs can make it. You want a custom diecast of your iRacing car, they are the place to check out. I know someone recently who got one of those, a good friend of ours here on 3Y TV named Tim Connolly. And Tim got a Taz Racing Customs diecast of his number 3 scheme, and he absolutely loves it. So go check them out. There is a link in the description here on 3Y TV. But other big shout-outs that we want to give out tonight, first and foremost, Stan Hausman. Big shout out to him and all of the super chats here tonight. I think 5 or 6 super chats in the chat. We really do appreciate those. In fact, I think that is 7 super chats here tonight, Stan. Really do appreciate those. Really, really awesome. Thank you very much. And not only thank you for the super chats, but also thank you for supporting the league. Bringing in BeerStreetJournal.com. I thought we might have a BeerStreetJournal.com last call right there at the end when Doug Miller went around, but it was just after the leader had crossed the start-finish line. Big shout out to Adam Dama for joining the 3Y TV pit crew as well. Thank you for doing that, Adam. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast as well. There's a link to their Podbean link in the description. There's a link to their link. There is a link, just a link in the description. Also, a big shout out to Taz Racing Customs. We just mentioned them, MaxGrafix.co. Like I said, if you are in the Daytona 24 tomorrow, check out craigsetupshop.co.uk, the sponsor of our Pull Award here every week in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, and Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award. And becoming Dr. Mashburn, the podcast. Make sure to check them out as well. But I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. 2 races left to decide the series champion. Jason Gracias definitely has a handle on it for now. But will he have a firm grasp on it after the checker flag falls in Atlanta in 2 weeks? Make sure to join us at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, January 28th, 2022, for the penultimate round at the Auto Club Speedway next week. That's going to do it for us here tonight from North Wilkesboro Speedway, folks. Stay safe and all of that good stuff, and we shall see ya!